It's the MPG Real Estate Podcast. What's up, guys? It's the MPG Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Melzer.
And I am Matt Perkins.
So me and Matt, we're business partners. I'm going to have him on as the first guest. I'm sure it won't be the last time. I'm sure he'll be on here quite a bit. But okay, so let's talk a little bit about your background. Like let's go back before the real estate, before all of this, before where were you born, where'd you grow up, and then what got you to where we first met?
Born. All right, so I was born in Maine, in the middle of nowhere in Maine, and grew up in Vermont primarily for about 14 years. Spent a lot of time on four-wheelers and running through the woods, and I kind of then developed a passion for forestry, as you might, living in the woods in the middle of nowhere in Vermont. And soon realized that after spending $80,000 on a degree, that I wasn't going to use it, and that I didn't see myself having the financial freedom that I wanted as a forester. So I switched over to real estate mindset and spent a few years thinking about how I could get involved in real estate, dreaming about it, thinking about it, until eventually one day I think I went to a 2-hour Fortune Builders seminar where they tried to sell me on a course that I didn't end up taking. I think I did do a weekend course with them, which, not dogging on Fortune Builders, just wasn't ready to drop. I think it was $30-something thousand on a real estate course. I thought I could kind of figure it out on my own. So at the same time, I was working a job doing renovation type work. That's where I met Josh, and quickly kind of hit it off and realized that we both shared a passion for real estate and thought it was a good route to go. So we somehow jumped in on it. I don't know the exact details of it, but we decided to form a partnership, and we started from there, just learning as much as we could, taking as much information as we could, studying what others were doing, trying to create our own way. We invested, I think we invested $1,000 combined to start out with, which we've turned into a lot more money. So it was a good $1,000 investment, and a lot of time. Yeah.
So what brought you from Vermont to Georgia? Like what's the time lapse there?
So I actually went to school in University of Maine, and my parents lived in Vermont, and they moved down to Georgia, where they bought into a hotel on Tybee Island, Hotel Tybee, and a couple vacations with my current wife at the time. She was my girlfriend, and she decided that we weren't moving back to Vermont, which was what my ultimate plan was, and that we were moving down here, and I was all for it. A couple visits to the beach in November and swimming in the ocean in November. We were the only ones, but being from Maine, the weather was warm as far as I could tell, and we just decided to move down here. I hadn't even really thought about real estate yet. I was still kind of in a forestry mind, planning on doing that, and it wasn't until...
Is there forestry jobs here?
Oh, there's tons of forestry jobs in Georgia, yeah.
So, what could you do for forestry, in this part of the state?
I could work for any of the mills, be like a procurement forester.
But you didn't do that?
I decided not to do that. That's just a day-to-day job with a salary, and I'd be always working for somebody else.
So then where's the jump between the dream for forestry and then, the maintenance?
The jump from forestry to maintenance. So I think I decided almost immediately after I got down here that I didn't really like the people in forestry. I didn't like the
vibe or
kind of the vibe, the feeling, the people, forestry's great. There's tons of happy foresters. There's not many rich foresters. So it's a good career. I think it would have been a fun job, but I like, I'm an entrepreneur at heart and decided that, if I wanted to kind of do my own thing, I needed to choose a different path. So that's how, I guess at that point I started thinking. And then I think I probably read Rich Dad Poor Dad at some point in there. Some other books. I went to the Fortune Builder seminar, which kind of convinced me. And with all that combined, I decided that real estate was kind of where I was heading.
So you go to maintenance, and then the Fortune Builders, and then real estate.
Yeah, the whole maintenance years were with real estate mindset the whole time.
Even from
From day
when
one.
you first started, yeah, okay.
I never got into maintenance with that as a
Like an end goal.
Yeah, I never got into renovations and maintenance and all that stuff as an end goal. That was just a means until I, got started doing what I really wanted to do.
So we get started February 2019, and then so what's the move into wholesaling?
The move into wholesaling. Originally, we wanted to.
Sorry, so let me back up actually before I ask that. So we start the whole real estate. So then, what was the initial goal? And was the initial goal wholesaling?
No, the initial goal was flipping.
Okay, yeah, that's what.
And
then what was the move from that into wholesaling? What caused that?
Okay, so we started. Pretty basic. What caused that? We'll get to that, but we started trying to be flippers. Essentially, we want to get into fix and flips, and quickly realized that you need some kind of history of flipping to get money, or you need your own money. And at the time, didn't have a whole lot of it. So we started looking at other options. Had heard about wholesaling, didn't know a lot about it. Kind of researched it. It seemed a little skeptical of it, if it was real, if it was something you could really do. And then we just started pursuing it. We tried it, and the first one was real nerve-wracking, and eventually it worked out, and you get a little more confidence, and then you do the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And it's definitely the best way to get into real estate without, I don't want to say no money, but you can pretty much do it with almost no money. We started with $1,000, so if you can muster up $1,000, probably get yourself some basic marketing, or even just start making. If you have a phone, you can start calling. You can call realtors, you can call homeowners, you can drive around and knock on people's doors. You could literally do it for essentially free, maybe some gas in your car. So, yeah.
How did you find that first deal?
Actually, the first deal was a referral from. It was actually my wife's friend. Her name was Leanne. She decided that she wanted to retire and move down to Florida, and she had a house with. She had gone through a divorce, and her husband had left tons and tons and tons of stuff in the sheds and in the house, and he just kind of left his whole life behind. And that was something she didn't really want to deal with. So she reached out to us to try the option of selling her house without the use of a realtor, without the need for. She didn't want to have people touring her home. She just wanted to just be done with and just move on with her life. And the house needed work. It was still a relatively nice house, but it needed renovating, and she knew that, and she knew that it wouldn't be she wouldn't get full market value for it. And there was the most important thing to her was that it was an as-is sale, and she could just leave as much as she wanted behind and just kind of go.
Which is common in wholesaling, right? That's oftentimes you find people that they just want to be done. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, a lot. Most wholesale deals we find, we get them at a discount because there's a motivation there. That's whether it's they want to sell as is, or they need to sell really fast, or they just their houses can be just destroyed and they just don't want to deal with it. And when you do a traditional sale and you get banks involved in things, you've got inspectors and appraisers and tours and realtors, and they're recommending contractors to get the the max value for it. And some people just don't want to deal with that.
So we do the first deal. You do the first deal. How much do you make on that first deal?
The first deal we profited $14,500, I think, which is pretty good. It felt good to go from 1,000 to 14,000. With yeah,
I want to interject. Like, we left a bunch of meat on the table.
Yeah, we could have made more.
Yeah,
we didn't know what we were doing. Yeah, our contract was probably iffy.
Yeah, at best.
Yeah. It was. There was a lot of things that it helped that it was referral, and it was kind of a family friend, and she was happy with her situation, and we were happy with ours, and that helped because it was pretty rough getting started, but we made it work. And once you get through the first one, you learn, and you try another one. And I don't even know what lawyer we probably used. We didn't have any realtor relationships at the time. We didn't have anything. We met our first realtor relationship through that deal.
And where did that close?
I have no idea where that closed.
Oh, it's sad as I don't know
either. The buyer actually dictated. He pretty much handled all the paperwork after our original contract.
Yeah, we had,
and the buyer knew that our contract probably wouldn't have even held up. So but I mean,
yeah, I think
it was family friends. So
yeah.
it all worked out. So.
So then you get done with that deal. What do you got? What do we? I can't remember exactly, but maybe you remember. What did we do right away? With that 14. How do we invest that 14 to get to that next one?
Right away we started with. Like all the big time wholesalers would tell you, we did direct mail. We tried a lot of individual specific home searches where we would drive around, see a home, try to call them. The numbers, I think we used Ben Verified, and the numbers never match up. The emails were never right. We tried to find them on Facebook. It really wasn't working. And I think we ended up sending out yellow letters, and I think we used Deal Machine, which I'm sure we'll get into in a later podcast about all these different services we use. But we used an app called Deal Machine, and then actually our second deal was a commercial office building that we actually found on LoopNet. So with all that marketing we ended up finding it for free on LoopNet. So
yeah. So, and what was that second deal? What was the LoopNet deal? You want to talk about that one a little bit?
So the LoopNet deal was actually Josh found it, and I reached out to Win. It was an 8-unit office building right in a kind of a commercial area next to a dealership here in town. It was a good deal. It was like $150,000. It needed work, and we were big dreamers at the time. So we were still not really sold on wholesaling, and we were trying to get some equity in it and find partners and things like that where we could do a triple net lease on the place. And we were tossing up the idea of doing micro offices where we would rent them out individually, and then we were well, let's just do a triple net lease. And we tried to get people involved, and we were newbies, so nobody wanted to really get involved, or we didn't really know how to find people that were interested in it.
And it went down to the last day.
We took it down the last day.
24 hours. Yeah. We had Noah sign. We had $1,500, literally 10% of the money our company had.
That was our closest. That was our closest deal. We took it down literally till we found a buyer the night before, and it closed the next day.
That is where network is extremely important, because it was somebody that we had a prior relationship with. Yeah, so we were able to just call him and be like, hey, you want to make some money? Yeah. And luckily he did, and he bought it, and he did okay on that deal.
Yeah, he did well.
Yeah,
I think he probably made he made a pretty good chunk on it. So
yeah, I don't know how much he made, but
profit's profit. I'm sure he was happy. So
and then you want to talk about how our marketing before that deal paid off on the next deal. So what happened?
Yeah, so those letters we bought a list, probably I'm guessing off List Source. And it was, I'm guessing, absentee owners, like everybody would start with. And we targeted that with direct mail. I think we did like yellow letter postcards. They were pretty cheap at the time, like 40 cents. I think they're still 40 cents, but we don't really use the postcards as much. Here we do. Yeah, okay. We do have some. But so we did like yellow letter postcards, and we spent most of our money, I think, on like direct mail. And that kind of pays off. Like, we chose like probably 3,000 houses, and we just started targeting those with direct mail multiple times. It was at least 2, maybe 3 times, maybe more. I can't remember exactly, but and it takes a while. Like, it's not like you're going to send out one batch of mail and you're going to get a call the very next day, but you send it again and again and again, and eventually when the people are ready to sell, they'll give you a call and just kind of feel you out and see what you're offering. So I'm sure off of our original batch of yellow letters, or at least our original list, one of those letters hit home and got us the next deal. It took probably 3 months total. I mean, in the beginning, we were doing a deal every few months, just enough to keep us going for more marketing for the next one. But yeah, the letters were working.
And I should interject here. It's kind of funny because we get phone calls from people who were, that turned out to be deals on the road. They said, "Hey, I've gotten a bunch of your yellow letters."
Yeah, we sent one.
Yeah, we've sent one. So like that goes to show, like, even if somebody in your market is really blasting out those letters, you can actually ride on their momentum to get a deal, because these people, all the yellow letters look really similar, right?
And I'm sure other people have benefited from our yellow letters, right?
Yeah,
so
I'm sure. Yeah.
they see our yellow letter, they think about selling, like, nah, maybe not, and then they get another one from somebody else a month later, and they're like, you know what, these guys hit me up twice, let me call, and then it turns out it's not us. But so it's a give and take. But yeah, our phone number would never make it into that pile if we never sent out one letter. So better to get some out there and have you benefit from theirs, and other wholesalers benefit from you, than to not do it at all. So
let's talk about what's been your easiest deal. What's been the easiest deal in your opinion?
Oh man, the easiest deal. I don't know what the easiest deal would be, honestly. You have an idea what the easiest deal would be? I don't think any of these deals have been particularly easy deals, but
the 40th Street deal is pretty. No, it wasn't. What's been the easiest deal? 109.
In terms of selling, we've had some deals that were pretty easy to sell. We had one deal that would have been real easy if it wasn't for a title issue. We've had a couple that we've sold within like 5 minutes. Our easiest deal is probably our most recent deal. We sold it before we were put under contract. So, what?
Except for we had to drive all the way to North Carolina to get it
signed.
signed.
Josh did a little bit of driving to make that work. Sometimes you're going to get people that don't want to sign online or for whatever reason, so you might have to make a trip, or mail or whatever you got to do. But
yeah, what's been the hardest deal?
I think the office was the hardest deal.
You think the office?
Just hardest in terms of what? Like, we've had some that are really tough sells on the, tough to get them under contract, and then they're easy to sell on the backside. And then we've had some that are really easy to get under contract, but they're tough to sell on the backside. Building a good buyers list is really important, because the more buyers you have, some buyers, even though they might buy a lot of deals, they might be booked up right now. They might have as many as they can take, and if you have 5 buyers and they're all saturated with deals and that's all you're relying on, they're not waiting for you to get a deal. They're finding as many as they can. So you can't rely on just five buyers. You need to build yourself a pretty good list. Not that you can't have a really good relationship with 5 buyers and call them first, but you definitely need to build a good buyers list over time and just have as many as you can that are buying in the area. Yeah.
I think our hardest deal was this foreclosure that we did on 32nd Street, 33rd Street.
Yeah, that was kind of a tough one. Just all aspects of that was tough.
The dude that owned it, his niece. Okay, first off, it had been in the family for 4 generations, and then the niece lived there, and she was supposed to be out by Thanksgiving, and it was our first time working with that buyer, and so then Thanksgiving came around, and she stayed, and they just kept saying one more week. Well, we pushed it all the way back until after Christmas.
We had gotten it we had pulled it out of foreclosure. It was going on the auction block like 2 days.
Yeah, like it was done.
It was going on there. So we got a hold of the bank and we were able to pull it out.
Shout out to Win for the help.
Thanks for Win helped us with that one. And we pulled it off the auction block, and so that bought us like a month. Well, then they pushed it beyond another month. We were able to extend it, I think, an additional month with the bank. After that, there was no more extending it. I think it came down to like pretty late. What we ended up doing was paying for their first month's rent in a new apartment. We paid for all their moving expenses.
Hired a guy the day of closing.
We hired a mover the day of closing to make it happen.
In the rain. Shout out to Ramon.
Yeah. And we got it done. But it was definitely like, there's another one that one was down to the wire pretty. We had a buyer lined up far before, so that wasn't an issue. But
yeah,
getting like, we took the risk. If that sale didn't go through for whatever reason, we would have been out decent, a few $3,000 or something like that, just in
between the moving costs and everything else.
Just in us hooking them up and getting to move. So that was a pretty tough deal, but it was worth it. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about we've done one flip. What was the story of buying that flip? Because I kind of like that space and all that stuff.
So we this is a story of I guess persistence is key. Follow up is key. And we had a woman who reached out to us, probably I think from a Yellow letter, and was interested in selling. And my original offer was something that she wasn't interested in. And I couldn't. After that, I tried to negotiate a little bit. I think I came up like $5,000 on the offer, and she turned it down, and then essentially just went kind of ghosted us, and we couldn't get a hold of her. Multiple times through it, I thought we didn't. This was early on again, so we didn't have a ton of leads. I was trying to make the sale happen, and I called her every 3 to 4 weeks for, it must have been close to 6-7 months, until we finally got her to give us a call back after about 6 months. I probably followed up with her 6 to 8 times in those 6 months, and she was ready to make it happen for a little bit higher of a price. So I think in total we only came up maybe another $5,000 on top of that offer, which was still a pretty good deal. And we decided to flip it ourselves, so there was that definitely kind of helped our profit on that. So
what are the numbers? How much did we buy it for?
So we actually bought that one for, is it $35,000? 40. It was $40,000. We bought that one for $40,000. And Josh and I actually, being the construction renovation backgrounds that we've kind of had, we decided to do it ourselves. In which there was a lot of lessons learned in that as well. But so we decided to flip that one ourselves. We put $20,000, essentially a little bit of labor, we hired out painting and a fence guy, but the rest of it we pretty much did on our own.
What all did we do to that house?
We tore up the floors in the kitchen. We replaced plumbing. We essentially gutted the kitchen and redid everything in there. We refinished all the hardwood floors ourselves. We did drywall work. We had to move the air conditioner up into the attic. Landscaping, painted the outside ourselves. Supported a carport on the side. It was a full, pretty extent. It wasn't a major rehab, but it was pretty extensive rehab. And we were doing this still with full-time jobs. So weekends, weeknights for a few weeks. We were trying to get it turned around quickly. And we got it done, and we ended up making it sold pretty quick. We sold it for like $100,000, so we all said and done profited $30,000 to $35,000 I think off that deal, which is pretty good. And the biggest lessons we learned, I would say, is you're not the wholesale side that we kind of fell off during that entire experience during the 3-4 weeks that we were flipping that house. We were too swamped while flipping that house to find more deals. Ultimately, we probably lost money. We could have made more money by facilitating, taking less profit on that deal by paying some contractors to go in there and do all the work. At the same time, we would have been finding more wholesale deals, and probably getting into more flips and things like that. So that was a lesson learned. You're not, you get at some point you gotta break off and decide that you don't need to be the one swinging the hammer, and not dogging on those guys. Those guys, I mean, a lot of them make a lot of good money. So, but if you're gonna be in real estate and you want to manage deals and find more deals, that's what you should focus on. And just pay the extra money to have somebody do the works while you can keep making more deals happen. It's numbers. You should try and do as many as you can. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So after the flip and everything, walk away with 30,000, and then where have we been for like the last like couple months since then? So that ended in May.
Yeah.
Right. So like
we were still at like one deal at a time back then, and then up until fairly recently, we've started this. Now we're into all different kind of facets of marketing, like I was saying. So we're doing online marketing. We're doing yellow letters. We're doing calling. We're doing we have signs around town. We have signs on our car. We have
deal machine.
Deal machine. Yep. All kinds of different stuff. So I'm sure there's more that I'm not thinking of, but
JV opportunities.
Yeah, we have JV opportunities, and we're working with other investors, which definitely helps. We're working with some guys that are just getting started out, like we were, and it's just bringing more attention to us and more opportunities for us. And so the past few months, we've done like 4 deals a month, 4 deals a month. We've been bumping into a lot of rentals lately. But we're able to find guys that want to buy rentals. So as long as the deal's really good, you're probably going to be able to find somebody. So there's tons of buy and hold guys out there. Originally, when you change your mindset from, when we started this, we were like flip mindset. Everything had to be a flip. We were running everything as a 70% rule, not really paying attention to the market and the way things were moving in Savannah. And we've recently, the more you learn about your local market, the better, because once you understand like where things are heading and where prices are going up and falling, that's when we'll be able to find a buyer in this area, even not at quite 70% or with a renter in it, and as long as the numbers work. So,
and just to add to that, like when you're looking at through the lens of, well, does this make sense as a flip, and you're not looking at any of the other avenues, exit strategies, right? It like really narrows your focus, and it allows a lot of deals outside of to fall through the cracks.
Yeah, you just pass by them. You don't think they're great deals.
Yeah, but really, if you open up your field of view and learn about all the different exit strategies that you can have, whether that be buy and hold, flip, subject to type stuff, anything like that, the more you learn, the better off you are.
Rezoning.
Yeah, rezoning. Yeah, commercial opportunity.
If you understand like the zoning of a particular property, and like can it be changed, and where is it located, and can it be developed into something new? Can it be converted into a duplex? Things you just think about. Try and think about as much as you can, and learn as much as you can, so that you can find kind of hidden opportunities in different houses. Even though this one might not work right now as a 6-week or a 4-month turnaround with a flip at 70% rule and all that stuff, you just gotta like really look at the deal and see what you can figure out.
Okay, so
go ahead and ask me again.
Yeah. So going forward, we talked about where we are up to this point. So like, what's the future look like? What's our goals in like the next 3 to 6 months?
So our goals in the next 3 to 6. Well, you can't. First of all, you can't. What's the saying? You can't score if you don't have a goal, right? So. You got to go ahead and find some goals.
A ship without a point, without a destination, is useless.
So you should always have goals. And our goal, I think currently our goal is we're looking to do 5 deals per month, and consistently do 5 deals per month on average, wholesale deals, and then we're just starting to really break into the flip game again. And like I said, we're not going to be doing the work this time, so we can just. By the end of the year, an average of like 1 flip a month is kind of what we're shooting for, and then just grow from there. But that's our future goal in the next, I guess, 3 to 5 months. Our short-term goal.
Okay, I'll ask you this next then. Who are you following? Where are you getting your information? Let me ask it. What book are you reading right now? What book would you recommend right now?
What book would I recommend right now? Man. Well, so there's, I guess they're both. Well, one's a little more real estate. The same book everybody recommends, which is Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you haven't read that, I would read that. It changed my mindset. I think it changes everybody's mindset.
What's the latest book that you've read, or what are you reading right now?
So the latest book I would recommend was actually recommended to me by my wife, and that is The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. That book, it's a little repetitive, but the premise is just do it, and just whatever you're thinking, just make it happen. It's not the the pick the food up off the floor rule, if that's what you're thinking, and you can eat it within 5 seconds. But it's actually like if you've got something in your mind, whether it be I need to pay the mortgage, you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. If you've got to call a realtor and you're thinking about it for too long, within 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just do it. So that's my latest recommendation, just to get yourself moving, get yourself working, get yourself productive.
What about who are you listening to? Is there like big public figures, anybody that you've been following?
Yeah,
you're listening to.
I follow Max Maxwell probably the most. I think Josh probably follows Gary Vee the most. Bigger pockets. But yeah, Max Maxwell is definitely, if you're wholesaling, like he's very wholesale oriented, like that's his whole thing. So if you're really looking for like really detailed information, kind of rules to follow and procedures to follow, Max Maxwell is definitely a good place to start. He's pretty clear in what he's doing. He's pretty open about what he's doing. There's not a lot of hidden secrets, and it's pretty good. It can definitely help you out for sure.
What's next? Oh, okay. So there's like a lot of craziness going on with like COVID and everything. What do you think the future for the Savannah real estate market is in the next like couple of years? Like, do you think it's going to grow, shrink?
Well, Savannah's a pretty unique market to work in, I think. There's a lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of investment going on. There's a lot of people moving here, wealthy people from out of state. So I think it stands to be pretty good. It's hard to tell, but I kind of stick to the mindset of just full steam ahead until otherwise, and then we'll just kind of assess and see where we're going from there. But I don't want to slow down with a fear of a market crash or a housing market crash or anything like that. I just want to keep, I think we just need to keep moving and just kind of make it happen. So everything's great right now as far as I can tell. We might be in a little bubble here in Savannah. I'm not sure when every time I seem to go out of state, it seems a little bit different, a little more shut down. But Savannah's still kind of rocking and rolling. There's actually probably a shortage of good deals at the moment, which is kind of surprising. But that's where we come in, and it's definitely, as a wholesaler, that's where we specialize. So we're really needed right now, and I think now's a great time to be a wholesaler in Savannah. Yeah.
You want to talk about like how has coronavirus like affected our business? Because it did affect it a little bit there for a month or two.
Yeah. So we, I don't know that coronavirus really affected our business as much as we affected our business through a coronavirus kind of mindset. We got a little bit nervous in the beginning and started to slow down and stopped spending money. For maybe a month or so. And then we had no deals for a month. The following month after, we had nothing. So we had a couple deals closed, and we were like, well, let's kind of wait and see what happens. But once we just decided, let's just run this thing. Everything's been great since. So don't let fear slow you down, for sure. Just get out there, make it happen. That's my advice.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on.
No worries, man. I appreciate you having me. in our office here.
In our office. All right, guys. So that's it for our first episode. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.